Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is Body Made of Stars. My name is Samuel, and so happy to join you here. It's about 4:20 in the afternoon, burn it, on the 5th of November. Yesterday we had the exactitude of the Scorpio new moon. And today the moon remains in Scorpio, so this is, in a way, a eulogy for the Scorpio new moon, which is fitting for me, as Scorpio season is so much entwined with death, letting go, remembering, and sort of laying it down to rest, as I wrote earlier this week. You know, laying the year down to rest, laying our unrealized dreams, our resentments, our fears, our hatreds. You know, it's like there's this shedding that happens in the autumn. We can feel it happening outside here in the Northeast. The maples and the oaks and the rest are flush as of this week with the colors that signify the death of this year's cycle. And it's a beautiful death, you know. Earlier this week, we went through this incredible sequence that we know as the Days of the Dead and the thinning of the veil. And I love this meme that's been circulating now that says, the veil is always thin, that's why it's a veil. It's like, so really we were between the veils and in some senses beyond the veil, touching the other side, in contact with the ancestral realms. And one of the many things I learned this year, it always teaches me so much, to honor and recognize our collective ancestry in this way, is how when we dress up like the spooks on All Hallows Eve and whenever else, you know, skeletons and ghouls and demons and monsters and horrible figures from history, etc., 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 or sexy ones or whatever, you know, what we're really reminding each other, and especially our children, is that these ghouls and demons and monsters, they actually, underneath their appearance, they want to be loved and they want to be connected with. So, you know, that really, the things that look so horrifying, these jump scare costumes that we put on, they are a lesson in letting us overcome our fears and recognizing that they and us, our demons, our shadows, they just want to be loved, you know. This is one of the lessons of the new moon, you know, is accepting and dancing and adoring your shadow. In this acceptance of the dark side, in no way diminishes your light, in no way diminishes your vital force. It amplifies and multiplies. It's like, what would the sun be without the space to shine in, you know? This is why Scorpio is like my favorite season and some of my favorite people. You know, that mysterious darkness that just waits. What do they say? They say the fertile emptiness of the universe, waiting for the spark of consciousness, ready to receive the light. And so as the new moon transits through, just as it departs later this afternoon, Mercury, the light bringer, Lucifer, now as a morning star, will enter Scorpio to bring the light of language, the light of consciousness, the light of interrogation, you know, where we have a dialogue with this scorpionic principle, and he will be approaching Mars and the Sun, who are there presently. So this Scorpio season is especially poignant because all of these transits, you know, which started a while ago when when Venus transited through, and now is the Sun, the Moon, Mars, and now Mercury coming through Scorpio. In a way, it to me is a preparation for what will be one of the themes of next year, which is the South Node egressing into Scorpio. It's right now at 1 degree and about 40 minutes of Sagittarius. And so it only has a few more weeks left in Sagittarius before it moves to Scorpio. As it happens, I believe that will place the eclipse cycle that, as you know, it will be beginning, I guess, with this next full moon. It'll be indirect. The node will be in Sag and the moon will be in Taurus. The node will be in Gemini and the moon will be in Taurus, and the sun will be in Scorpio and the south node will be in Sag. But even with that, it's like we are beginning a year plus cycle of having these Scorpio Taurus eclipses. And when the south node transits through Scorpio, buckle up, baby. We've had a lot of death in culture, especially of elders, but also of the troubled ones. I know many people, but people with addictions, people with demons, and then people who are sickly and old have been taken from us in great numbers during the last 2 years or so. And that might, I hesitate to say, but that might even amplify with the South Node in Scorpio. But it's not just people. We can protect ourselves, we can protect our loved ones. There's many ways that we can lift each other up. Whether it's someone who's depressed, you can call them. Someone with a substance problem, you can intervene. And someone who's old and frail, bring music, bring flowers, bring dancing, bring vitality to their life, and you can add years to their human lifespan and precious moments to their spiritual lifespan, which is really all that counts. In other ways, the Scorpionic South Node journey that is soon to initiate will be reaffirmations in the lessons of letting go. And as Mars transits through in its power, like we are wielding the sword that we need, the obsidian blade, to slice off the excesses and really trim our robes to be the perfect fit. And again, with Mercury, I quite like a Mercury in Scorpio. Yes, it's sharp-tongued. Try to be gentle with your loved ones and with your enemies, because it'll be extra spicy. And be forgiving. It's like we can't just forget about the Libra lessons just because we graduated from them this year. It applies all the time. Justice, fairness, gentleness, always good lessons. But we have the tools to do some serious work, and God bless it. Another realm where work becomes sort of emphasized is, as of today, Venus has concluded her journey in the expansive territory of Sagittarius and has moved on to the constructive, credible intensity of Capricorn. I will always be fond of Venus and Capricorn now, because this is when my relationship started last year. It's only been about 10 months since she was in Capricorn last. And, which is unusual, I suppose, yeah? Venus should, in theory, go faster than the sun, go slower than the sun? It sticks close to the sun. So it's gone from behind the sun to ahead of it in this 10 months. This is where we can build something of great value, build our empire, if you will, in love. And that's sextile to Mercury and Mars in the early degrees of Scorpio. It's a complementary force. Like, as we do this shadow slicing, as we, do this witch's brew, as we stir this scorpionic pot of transformation, cauldron, it's like we're enchanting it and chanting spells that speak to Venus in Capricorn, which is building love, building home, building your empire, you know, of beauty. And it's like focusing on the things that matter to you, to take the steps to succeed. Like, we're almost done with 2021. This has been quite a mal-aspected year. And that brings me to the other big aspect on this Scorpio new moon, which is its direct opposition to Uranus. Uranus, the rebel, has been retrograding in Taurus for about 5 months. And, you know, it's been this story where Uranus, throughout all of 2021, has been showing down with Saturn in Aquarius. And it's like the technocrat, the futurist, you know, the digital IDs and lockdown, but also with Jupiter's influence, cryptocurrency boom and work from home and no more offices and all this cool stuff that's in Aquarius with all this darkness. But then Uranus, like a stick in the mud, saying, you know what, screw you, Saturn, you know, my child who needs technology and needs control and needs organization. It's like, nah, dude, the rebels know what's good. They have their home. They have their yard. They have their garden. They have their cooktop. They have their ferments and their teapots. They have the things that matter, keeping it close, you know. And it's like, that's what rebellion looks like in 2021. That's been, in a lot of ways, the singular most important story of the astrology of 2021. And it's like, now we get this polarity of, it's like, how do we actually do the homework? You know, how do we have this Taurus life that sounds so great and full of beauty and sovereignty? It's like, well, we got to work on our shadows, because if we can't live with these ourselves, we can't live. You know, we will become dependent on this Aquarian technocracy. Like, if we can't just get right with our own internal compasses, our own lives, like our own gardens. And so, you know, the moon and the sun together in Scorpio the last day or two throws a light on the Uranus work, the rebel work, you know, and we say, hey, how far have we come towards actual integration of our family traumas, of our past childhood traumas, and of our darkness, you know? Because again, it's like, if we can't love and accept pretty much all of ourselves and all the things, not just ourselves, partnership makes it twice as complicated and twice as beautiful, of our partners, you know, we can't really be independent humans without that. So, you know, we have this opportunity and this responsibility to go into our own personal underworld. And it's like the arc of this year, it looks like this. We've started the descent, you know, and it's like climbing into Hades, and it's going to come up on the other side in Pisces. And by that time, Jupiter will have egressed into Pisces, and we will be entering a very different 2022. One that, as Aquarian and airy, you know, with the Gemini North Node, as this year has been, next year we'll have this water styling with the South Node in Scorpio, the North Node in Taurus, and then Jupiter and Neptune. All right, cut out there, no biggie. So, as I was saying, yeah, this 2022 is going to be profoundly Piscean. And it's like, in between here and there, we've got this descent. And honestly, waiting for us at the bottom is this one that's very much tied up with the United States. Woe be the empire. You know, being back here for a few weeks clarifies exactly why I left years ago and why I don't have any plans to make this my permanent home ever again. And, you know, it's this Pluto return of the United States that's ongoing in Capricorn. And, you know, when we talk about the Scorpio South Node and the Taurus North Node, it's like, we're talking about cleaning up our own houses, and we're talking about, you know, getting right with the darkness of our past. And, you know, that relates to the empire that is this Pluto in Capricorn that calls the shots. One would say for better or for worse, but you can just say calls the shots for worse, you know, not for the benefit of the subjects of the empire or for really anyone, you know. One thing that the Age of Aquarius is making plain to see is that, those ostensible masters of the game, these, billionaires and what have you, a lot of them are just as woefully underserved by culture as the proletariat. They're these billionaires with their all-white furniture and boring architecture and boring fashion sense, and people should be celebrating if they have wealth and influence. Like, live like it, enjoy it, get that Taurus North Node. Talk about an antidote to Aquarius. It's like, how about rich fabrics and beauty and good food, and not only that, but the care of our local environment. It's like a hillside in Costa Rica is not just there to be developed into some rental property. A hillside in Costa Rica is perfect just the way it is. And that's one of the many things that Taurus reminds us. In a lot of ways, that's also what Scorpio reminds us. Scorpio is the season of the dead, and we're remembering, when we celebrate the days of the dead, the destruction of Atlantis many, many thousands of years ago. I reiterated this in my article this week, but I'll speak it here now briefly. The 30th, what we called Cabbage Night in my suburban New Jersey town, was the day that the decision was taken, however many tens of thousands of years ago, when there was a technological society that we know of as Atlantis that was using vibrational technology and was abusing vibrational technology. It's recounted in the Rig Veda. It's recounted in the codices in the Near East. The relics of such a story are run through Zoroastrianism, through Manichaeism, through early pre-temple Judaism and Essene Christendom, as well as in the stories of the Maya, the Hopi, the Inca, many tribes in Africa. We remember this stuff. And Atlantis was destroyed by the actions of wicked men. And so on the 30th, the decision was taken. Up until that point, the rescue was possible. But it became too much, and the geomagnetic events went to a scale that they were not to be reversed. On the 30th of October of that year long ago, and what's up, guys? And on the 31st, which we call All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, the masters of that place, who knew what was to come, took their people with only what they could carry, and they departed, later to become the seed of cultures as diverse as Kemet, which is Egypt, Maya, the Indus Valley, the Inuit in the Arctic Circle, the Arctic peoples departed from this event, and others, and as well, Druids, that's a big one. That western edge of Europe, which ran really from Portugal up to Scotland, a long way up. And all of them left at that time. And then finally, on All Souls Day, millions perished. And, we recall that. We all of us, as a human family, bear those marks in that memory. And so we've obscured it and made it into all kinds of, it's been filtered through every culture since, the days of the dead. And it's like, and yes, it coincides with the time of year of the dying of the trees and the life cycle of the year that began in Aries. And yet it recalls something even deeper. And so, we have a chance to celebrate that and to honor that. And it's really a great time, to look deep inside ourselves and to let die those things about us that we don't need to carry anymore. The new moon is always an opportunity to burn it off, and like this one, I like to say it's a rebirth, not just into life, it's a rebirth into the bardo. And we'll be descending through this season and through Sagittarius, to the null of the Western year, or of the northern year, which is the winter solstice on the 21st of December. And then the rebirth into life begins, and it takes all winter. So I'll leave it there, we can celebrate this time, and we can also do it in a solemn and appropriate way. So, yeah, Scorpio's the second water sign. It's like nothing to grip onto. This is the river running to the ocean, letting go of its personal identity, returning to source. So let's be like that. And that'll give us everything we need to deal with next year's Scorpio South Node. Finding the path of least resistance, holding on to nothing, and then the letting go. The body made of stars. Holler at me if you need a reading of any kind or support of any kind. Sending you all love. Ciao.